In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my spring and summer knitting plans. Thank you Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform where creatives can stand out with their online presence. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Knee Knits. My name is Amy and here I love to talk about all things knitting, and today's video is all about my spring and summer knitting plans. Now I have to give a disclaimer, not all of these plans are knitting. I do have some crochet as well. I feel like whenever the weather gets warmer, I really enjoy picking up my crochet hooks and doing some crochet projects. I especially find crochet to be pretty applicable for things like accessories and just different kind of summer textures. So you'll see some crochet plans sprinkled in with the classic knitting plans that I have. If you're new here, welcome. I am a knitter based out of Boston, Massachusetts, and I love to knit. And every season I love sharing all of my upcoming crafting plans, patterns I'll be knitting, and yarn I'll be using. So I have lots of yarn to show and tell today, as well as some swatches, and we'll be talking all about the patterns I have on my queue. Now I decided to do a combined spring and summer plans video because when spring started last month, I just wasn't ready to move on from a lot of my projects that were currently on the needles. I still have a lot of winter sweaters and sweater vests that I'm currently working on and just didn't feel right to transition into the next season right away. So I delayed this video, and now a lot of my plans, although they have some spring aspects, you'll see that there's some summer focused projects as well. So I thought it'd be best to combine them all and just talk about what I plan on making for the next 3 months in May, April, and June. So I have 7 patterns that I plan on casting on in the next few months, as well as some honorable mentions at the end that I don't know if I'll have time to cast on, or maybe I'll sub them in and we'll just see how the season goes. I will share today I'm wearing one of my spring knits from last year. This is tea number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I knit this out of the suggested yarn combo, which was Gepard Garn Wild and Soft, held with Gepard Cashmere Lace. So it's about a sport weight tee. It's got a boxy fit, saddle shoulders, and I thought I would put it on today. It's a little bit chilly here in Massachusetts, and so this being kind of like a wool and silk blend and being kind of longer in the sleeve for a t-shirt, it is pretty well suited for the temperature today. And before I start listing off the patterns, I do want to take a few moments to thank the sponsor of today's video, Squarespace. Squarespace is the platform where creatives can stand out with their online presence. Whether you're trying to grow your business online or your brand, Squarespace has everything you need to create a website from scratch. You can pick from their long list of curated templates and customize it specifically with your brand logo, colors, and fonts. Squarespace websites can be used as blog websites. You can also use them as e-commerce sites to sell digital or physical products. With Squarespace's design intelligence, you can feel empowered to create a beautiful, more personalized website tailored to your unique needs. If you're interested in creating a Squarespace site, head to squarespace.com to start a free trial today. Once you're ready to launch your site, head to squarespace.com/neknits to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you Squarespace for sponsoring today's video, and now let's get into the projects. So I'm excited to share my first project idea because it's something I already have started, and it is actually a crochet project. So I am going to be pulling a few patterns from this book, which is a new release. This is Summer Crochet by Janine Miska. She's also known as Knits and Knots on Instagram and her social media sites, and she's always had really stunning crochet designs as well as some knitwear designs, but this book features a bunch of summer beachy focused designs that are perfect for trips to the beach, vacations. So the first project that I am making for the summer is actually the cover photo here. So the Siren Side-Slit dress is an all-over mesh cover-up that is meant to be worn over swimsuits at the ocean or the beach or some sort of water venue. It's supposed to be figure hugging, so you can see it has this kind of close to the body shape, and it's meant to be worn with 4 to 8 inches of negative ease around the widest circumference of your body. The suggested yarn is a DK weight cotton yarn, specifically Lion Brand 24/7 Cotton DK. This is in the color cream, which I'm actually using the same exact color that was used in the sample, and this is a 100% cotton. I don't know if it's Pima cotton or if it's just regular cotton. All it says on the label is 100% cotton, but this is a really nice, smooth, twisted cotton yarn. And for crochet, I feel like cotton is a really good fiber to use. It just flows over the hook really easily. It feels very comfortable, and the stitch definition is really good. So let me show you what I have so far. So the funky thing about this that I never would have guessed just by looking at the pattern photos is this is actually crocheted from top to bottom, kind of vertically. So you crochet in this direction, but when you end up wearing the dress, it is worn like this. So you can see where those horizontal stripes are formed, even though the stitches go top to bottom. So as someone who crochets not very regularly, I found this pattern really easy to follow. It features chains and single crochets and double crochets, and I think a triple crochet, and that's about it. So it does create a really cool mesh pattern that you can see here that has a lot of stretch and flexibility. So you can kind of see how when it's worn, it's going to kind of stretch open over the wider points of your body and then kind of come in over the not widest points of your body to kind of make that figure hugging shape. It is knit in 2 panels. I actually haven't looked up how you end up finishing the 2 panels, whether it's seamed or if it's kind of seamed with the crochet hook. So I'm not sure about that, but right now I'm working on the back panel. So this will go along the back of my neck, and you can kind of see the shaping for the armhole here. So really fun crochet project to start off the season with. I'm having a lot of fun. This fabric feels really lightweight and nice for the summer and for the beach because it is such like a lightweight cotton. I'm using a 3.5mm hook, which is also known as the E hook. It really feels like it's flying off of my hook. I was gonna say needles. It really feels like it's flying off the hook. I'm really shocked with how much progress I've made so far on this, and I can tell it's gonna be just really fun to wear. The benefit of a 100% cotton is that I also can throw this in the washing machine when I need to wash it after it gets salt water on it and stuff like that. So it seems like it's going to be really versatile. I have crocheted another beach cover-up before out of Lion Brand 24/7 cotton, but the worsted weight yarn, and that ended up being really heavy. I still enjoy it. It is really comfortable to wear, but it is really dense, and for a cover-up it can seem heavy. So I'm excited to have this that definitely feels really lightweight and flexible and definitely more suited for really hot summer weather. I did start this pretty early in the season. Obviously, this is kind of a summer project, but I started it now because my husband and I are going on a trip at the end of May, and it's a beachy, warm weather location, so I definitely want to wear this on our trip, so I needed to start this to hopefully get it finished by the end of May. The next pattern on my list is the Vacation Vest by Park Williams, also known as Park and Knit, and this vest is a flowy V-neck button front or fastened front vest meant to be worn on vacation. You can see it's very summery and very light. It's got kind of that laid back summer vibe if you don't wear anything underneath it. Obviously it's more intended for vacation style, not really wearing to the office, but it also seems like a really good layering piece if you do wear a t-shirt or even a long sleeve shirt underneath. Seems like it could have a lot of use in my wardrobe. So similarly to planning for my beach trip at the end of May, I kind of wanted to make this for that trip as well, and I ended up picking this really bright red yarn from Knit Picks. This is Cotton, which let me grab the ball to show first. So this is Cotton, which is a DK weight yarn, and this is a blend of 70% Tangus cotton and 30% linen. This is DK weight, and the Vacation Vest is meant to be knit at a worsted weight gauge, but I did a gauge swatch, and I think all I need to do based off of my math is to just size up one size, and then knitting in the DK weight gauge will get me a similar fitting vest rather than finding a worsted weight yarn. It seems like a really fun project to knit. It also seems like it would be really quick. I do love how it has the ribbing going along the armhole edge that you knit simultaneously, so you don't have to go back and pick up any stitches at the end of the project, which will make this feel like a breeze. I also really love how it fastens in the front with hook and eye closures, I think is the suggestion, but I might make a modification and do I-cord bow ties for the front, which I've seen a lot of people do in their projects of the Vacation Vest, and I really love that look. I think in the bright red, and this color name, by the way, is called Moroccan Red. I think this will just be really fun for the summer, a really fun pop of color that will just be really comfortable to wear. I find cotton linen blends to be really comfortable. I've knit with them in the past for some other garments, such as my Seville blouse or the poppy tee, and those I both love wearing for the fabric texture, so I think this will kind of give a similar feel with that lightweight kind of breathable fabric. Again, a pretty summer forward project, but I definitely need to cast it on ASAP so I can get it finished before the end of May. I'm kind of going in order of when I'm going to cast on the projects, so those are the only 2 projects that I have kind of like a time constraint for, so now we're kind of backtracking to something I might cast on next, so it actually isn't a super summer forward. This might be considered more of a spring or even a fall and winter knit because it is a long sleeve sweater, and that is the Calliope Pullover by Sari Nordlund. The Calliope Pullover Pullover is featured in her book Softly Timeless Knits, and it is actually the cover pattern that is featured here. This is a circular yoke top-down lace pattern knit in a sport weight yarn, and I'm really excited to cast on something that has texture and lace and something where I can follow a chart. I feel like I've been looking for that kind of potato chippy knitting in my projects lately. I really love Sari Nordlund's lace patterns, and I feel like I don't knit enough of them, and I'm starting to learn that as I knit more textured projects, specifically thinking about cable patterns versus lace patterns, I think I really prefer to knit lace patterns, but I don't realize it. I've cast on a lot of cabled patterns that end up taking me a really long time to finish. I do enjoy them, but I can tell that I'm not as passionate about them as I maybe want to be. But lace patterns, I feel like anytime I cast them on, I get them done really quickly because it's just really fun to get to the next round, and because lace doesn't involve any like cable needles, or I just feel like the act of doing yarn overs and decreases is just faster and more intuitive than doing cables. I just think I have more of an interest in those types of patterns, so I'm trying to incorporate them more into my knitting. So this pattern is exclusive to the Softly book, so you can't get it separately, and I'm just looking at the chart right now, and it does look like the only stitches used in it are like knit two together, slip slip knits, yarn overs, some twisted stitches like through the back loop, and some other decreases like knit three together. So it definitely seems like something that I could cast on, and being in the circular yoke construction, it would just be really quick to get through the yoke and get through the project in a very enjoyable way. Not that I'm trying to rush through this project, but I do find something very exciting when there's a knitting project that I can't really put down and that I just want to keep working on, and I think this will satisfy that craving. So being a sport weight pattern, I do have some sport weight yarn in my stash for it, and I do have this Sorella Yarn Classic Sport, which is a 100% superwash merino yarn in the color Fierro. This is from the Oz collection, as you can see from the label here, which is so cute. It's this really nice kind of mid-tone blue. I wouldn't call it a dark navy, but it certainly isn't a light blue either, which I find is kind of a gap in my wardrobe. I feel like I have a lot of navy, have a lot of light blue as shown here, but this mid-tone blue I think is going to look gorgeous. I think it's going to really show off the lace pattern really well, and I can see myself wearing it with a lot of different outfits. I don't know if I'll get this done quickly enough to wear it before it gets too hot, but I'm sure as the summer comes to an end, as the weather cools down later this year, this will definitely be an easy to grab sweater since it is sport weight and it's going to be pretty lightweight compared to some other knits. Sari Nordlund did just announce her next book is out for pre-order now, called Summer Knits, which I will actually talk about a little bit later in this video. But if you are looking for a copy of Softly, I do have an affiliate link with the Woolly Thistle if you would like to purchase a copy and support me at the same time. And everything else that I talk about in today's video, yarn and patterns, will all be linked below as well. The other long sleeve pullover that I have on my plans this season is the Elisabeth Blouse by Petite Knit. I have talked about this pattern a lot. I mean, it's a classic. It is just a wardrobe staple with the polo collar and the raglan construction, and I just know that I want it in my wardrobe. It just seems like something that I could easily wear in a lot of different outfits. It feels pretty lightweight, especially given the yarn that I have selected for the project. So the Elisabeth Blouse is suggested to be knit out of Cardiff Cashmere Classic, which is a 100% cashmere yarn. I've talked about wanting to knit this with the cashmere yarn, just haven't made the splurge yet on a sweater quantity of cashmere. And just recently I tried out a bunch of yarns from Holskarn. I actually have a video on the channel if you're curious about what their yarns are like in person. And Holskarn Coast really stuck out to me as being a really comfortable next to skin fabric. This is a blend of 55% lamb's wool and 45% cotton, and feeling it in the ball and feeling the swatch knit up, it honestly feels pretty much like 100% cotton in a good way. Like, it feels really easy to wear next to skin, just kind of like a commercial cotton fabric that has a lot of drape and is really breathable. Holskarn Coast is a very light fingering weight yarn, so I do intend to hold this double to meet the sport weight gauge for the Elisabeth Blouse. I haven't swatched it yet, so I just have the yarn to show, and I did get the color cream, which is pretty, I feel like, rare for me to get white yarn. I feel like when I buy yarn, I get more excited about yarns that have bright colors colors, but when I'm actually reaching for something to wear in my wardrobe, I definitely feel a gap in not having a lot of neutral knits that are either white or off-white. I think it was time to go for the off-white sweater quantity here. So I think this will be a pretty basic knit, you know, being petite knit patterns. I don't really have to ever do any modifications to the sizing. I can just cast on and go. This construction is a raglan construction, so definitely seems like something that I can easily pick up at any time. So it might be something that I just cast on and kind of have in the background where I focus on some other projects that have more texture and more involvement with the stitches. The next pattern is back in the crochet world, and it's also from Summer Crochet, which I will note that all of the patterns from this book are actually available as individual pattern downloads, so they're not exclusive to the book if you're interested in just one or two of them. And this next one is called the Saltwater Cardigan. This is a really oversized, boxy, drapey cardigan that features a sort of open mesh lace stitch pattern, and it just looks like a really nice layering piece. I'm kind of picturing myself wearing this on summer evenings where you wear a tank top and shorts out in the day, but you stay after the sun sets and you just need an extra layer as the temperature drops a bit. So I think this will be a perfect piece for that setting. The suggested yarn for the Saltwater Cardigan is Knit Picks Lindy Chain, which is what I got for my cardigan. I just followed the yarn suggestion, and Lindy Chain is a fingering weight blend of 70% linen and 30% Pima cotton. And it's called Lindy Chain because it has a chainette construction, which you can see here in the yarn strand. I did swatch for this already, following the directions in the pattern for the swatch, and here's what it looks like. I do really love this stitch pattern. It just looks really fun, and honestly it was pretty fun to crochet as well. This yarn out of the ball feels a little bit stiff. I mean, it's a linen yarn, so most linens are going to have that kind of like straw-like texture, but I did not have any issues crocheting with it, and then after blocking it and soaking it in some water, it definitely softened up a bit. I know that this cardigan is going to have a lot of drape because of the linen content, and linen gets softer with washing and wearing, so if I don't find it to be as drapey as I need it to be at first, I'll probably just wash it again and see it soften up. This color I have here is called Linen, which is funny because it's mostly a linen yarn, and it's just kind of like a beigey color, and I was really struggling when I was deciding what color to make this cardigan out of. I feel like with cardigans, it's either you pick a color so it can be your outfit making piece, or you pick a neutral so that way you can wear it with any outfit, if that makes sense. I was trying to decide if I was going to wear this mostly as an outfit making piece, you know, thinking if I knit it in a blue, I probably can only wear like blues or neutrals underneath, like the shorts and the t-shirt, but if I make it in a neutral, like a white or a beige, I could wear any color shirt underneath it, like pink or red and stuff like that. So thinking of how I was going to wear this helped me decide to go with a neutral beige linen color, because like I said before, I'm thinking of using this mostly as like a extra layer if it gets too cold, but not necessarily as my main outfit, so I opted for the linen color, which I think will look good. I tend to not go for beige. I was kind of surprised when it came out of the package. I didn't realize it was going to be this close to my skin tone, but I think it'll be fine knowing that it is a layering piece and not like a solid sweater that would cover, you know, all my sleeves and neck and stuff like that. This is going to be my saltwater cardigan. I have no idea when I'm going to start this crochet project. I'm probably picturing this to be a later cast on. I do want to knit one tank top this summer, and I do have this yarn from Sorella. This is Classic Sock in the color Forget Me Not from their garden collection, which is this really nice kind of saturated lighter blue. Like, it's not a pastel blue, but it's obviously not a dark blue either. I just feel like it's a really cool color, and I would love to make kind of just like a form-fitting ribbed camisole out of this. So I have two pattern ideas that I haven't decided between, and the first one is the Mixed Rib Cami by Florence Miller. This is a boat neck tank top that features twisted rib that goes down all over the sides. It has some really nice waist shaping. It's meant to be worn with negative ease, and I just love the style of it. I've seen a lot of people knit it and it looks great on everybody, and I can totally see myself wearing it in this color this upcoming summer. However, I'm also interested in the Iris top by Andrea Gahn. This is also a ribbed tank top, but it definitely has a different style than the Mixed Rib Cami. It's got a little bit more of a sporty style, definitely has some some really great shaping. You can see the ribbing along the waistline as well. A little bit more polished with the edging on that piece. Both look like great patterns. I might end up knitting both, but for now I could see either in this color blue. It's just a matter of what style I'm going for and more of the shape. I see the iris top as more of a casual piece where the mixed herb cami has a little bit of elegance. Neither is better than the other, but I'm undecided, so we'll see what I end up casting on later this summer. And going back to a crochet project to round out the list, I have the Collins bag by Janine Miska from the summer crochet book as well. I feel like this book had a lot of hits, no misses. So I did stock up on some yarn for a handful of the projects in here. So when I got the Lion Brand 24/7 cotton for the Siren Side-Slit dress, I also got some 24/7 cotton for this bag. So this is a crochet bag, of course, that features these really cute circular wooden handles. And it's a very kind of like chunky crochet stitch pattern. It has some eyelets on the side. It has kind of the ribbing that goes down the sides of the basket bag, but also some really detailed sort of border that goes into the handle. So I feel like there's a lot of construction aspects of this bag that make it look really cute. It definitely looks like something you could see on sale at the mall, and I would love to just make something similar. I find crochet to be really well suited for summer bags, so I think this will be a really fun and usable project. The color I got is called Cafe au lait, which is this kind of muted brown color, kind of like a milky brown. And I don't have the wooden handles yet. I'll have to order those, but I'm probably going to get something similar to what's used in the pattern photos, just like a neutral kind of plain wood color. And the 24/7 cotton is the worsted weight mercerized cotton that you can see has the kind of more textured construction. It's not the same exact construction as the 24/7 cotton DK. This has a lot more structural integrity, and you actually crochet this bag pattern with 2 strands held together, but still on a 4.5mm hook. So it is a very dense crochet piece, which makes sense because it's a bag. You do want it to be dense and sturdy at the same time. And this bag in general looks like it does have a lot of structural integrity, both on the yarn choice and off of the construction. You do seam all those panels together, so it doesn't look like it has a lot of potential to sag, which I do find is a problem or just something that happens with either knit or crochet bags, as they don't have much to them. They're just fabric, so they do tend to sag. This looks like it would probably have minimal sagging because of that sewn construction. So I wanted to keep the list conservative because I tend to always list out a lot of different projects that I just never end up getting to by the end of the season. So that rounds out everything that I'm pretty confident that I'll get to before the end of the summer. However, I do have a couple honorable mentions that I did want to talk about. The first 3 are from Sari Nordlund's upcoming book, Summer Knits, which she just started sharing about on social media earlier this week. So I didn't even know I was going to talk about these patterns in this video until I sat down to film today, because I was looking through the pattern previews, which are on Ravelry, and they are stunning. Now, as is Sari Nordlund's style, a lot of these summer knits in her new book feature lots of gorgeous texture, a lot of lace texture, and lately I've been feeling more inclined to knit more lace into my spring and summer knits, specifically because I find that I don't reach for a lot of my stockinette knitwear in the spring and summer as much as I want to. I find that if I knit a tank top that's stockinette, I also have a lot of just store-bought tank tops that are stockinette. You know, just regular plain tank tops or t-shirts that I just reach for more often because they're less fiddly, they're lower maintenance. And I think I would reach for my spring and summer knitwear more if they had more uniqueness to them. And I think these lace patterns that we're seeing in Sari Nordlund's designs are just something that is unique that you can't really get commercially very easily. It might also be influenced by the fact that Sézanne, you know, a very popular fashion brand right now, they are producing a lot of knitwear that features a lot of lace texture. So I've just been feeling that pull, and some patterns that really stuck out to me first is the Saltwater Cardigan and the Saltwater Tee. I believe they are the same exact kind of lace panel that goes down the front center, but one is a short sleeve cardigan with buttons and the other is a t-shirt. These are both sport weight knits. And with these lace patterns, I can really see myself wearing them in neutral colors, pretty much creams or off-whites. So I would love to knit this in like a cream color. And honestly, because it's sport weight, I'm kind of tempted to repurpose my Holskarn Coast held double, you know, instead of doing the Elisabeth Blouse, maybe doing that with this yarn, because this being cotton, it would be pretty wearable in the spring and maybe the summer. So yeah, considering that I don't have the book yet, I'm not sure if that would end up being something I cast on this year, but we'll see. Two other sport weight patterns from the new book upcoming are the Dido Tee and the Pax top. The Pax top is a tank top with no sleeves, but the Dido Tee is a tee with short sleeves, and both just have, you know, really stunning lace panels that I think the Dido Tee does feature a small cable down the side, but also just looks like really fun potato chippy knit, something that could easily be worn in the spring and into the summer. Again, I'm thinking neutrals with these, like light beiges, off-whites, cream colors. I feel like they would be stunning to knit and to wear. Another honorable mention in the same category of having a nice lace texture and being a neutral color is the Fern Tee by Knitting for Olive. This is knit at a fingering weight gauge, so you can use one strand of Knitting for Olive pure silk or one strand of Knitting for Olive cotton merino. And I just love the kind of simple texture of it. It is a circular yoke design, and I just really like how streamlined it looks. It just seems like another really nice layering piece, simple to knit, but a stunning project at the end. The Clover Tee by Les Knit is a top-down circular yoke t-shirt that features eyelets down the yoke. Again, simple in design. This is knit out of Santaskar and Lena, so it's a worsted weight knit. I'm a big fan of Lena, so I would definitely see myself knitting this out of that specific yarn. It just looks like another good addition to the wardrobe that has some texture and might not necessarily be something that I can easily substitute with like a plain t-shirt from my closet. So those are all of the pattern ideas I have in my head for spring and summer. I'm really excited to get going on some of them. If you want to stay up to date with what I'm working on, feel free to tune in to my podcast episodes, which I post regularly here on YouTube. You can subscribe if you like what you saw and want to be notified anytime I post a video. You can also follow me on Instagram, ne_knits, where I also post updates on my projects. Everything I talked about will be linked below in the description box, and thank you again so much for joining me, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.